Welcome to podcast 334 of 5 Star Potential, your weekly Football Manager podcast. I'm Duke, and on this week's pod, I'm joined by Joe, aka Friday Night FM, and Dave, aka the CEO of Blue Lagoons. Welcome, gentle men. How are you?
I'll take that. That's probably the nicest intro I've had.
I had to. I mean, it's not what's written. I'm just going to put it out there. It's not what's written. We all good?
You think that's good? You think that's good? Wait for the next line.
Wow. There is no Matt this week. He's hosting Ricky Sunak. Oh, I just read that wrong. I've just read past it, and we're going to have to edit this bin. No Matt this week. He's hosting Rishi Sunak's Stop the Boat Party. But do not fear. On this week's podcast, we'll be heading to Argentina to look at Golazo 50 and our adventures in Wonderkid with some save updates sandwiched in the middle. So let's crack on. Winners, losers. Start with you, Joe.
Nah, I think we got enough to talk about, mate.
Okay, that's cool. I mean, I have quite a big loser, which is going to be my save update. So we can.
All right. I'll go for winner of the week. Played a lot of FM. Loser of the week. You.
What? The fact you had to spend time with me when you played with FM or
no
ass
of what you've done to your save, mate.
Okay, David. What about you?
Loser of the week. Mad FM.
Yes, because he's not here.
Winner of the week. I've officially got the darts board up properly at the house. Loser of the week is that I can't hit a 20 for love or money. No,
that's not what she said.
We might as well just turn into the darts podcast now. And if
two of
anyone
us
has
have got a physique. Me and Dave.
Yeah,
I got sumo physique. I think we could become a darts podcast. I think we should definitely look at that. My win of the week is the fact that I've played a lot of FM. My loser of the week is my FM save. So I'm sure we'll jump on that very, very shortly. So let's jump into our main part of the sandwich that we just spoke about, which is the Golazo 50, which is identifying the young talents in Argentina, under the age of 23. Now, what I'm about to tell you isn't actually the names. It's just my attempt of saying the names, because some of these are going to be way off, gentlemen. So we're gonna go round, okay? Because we can all read apart from me, and I'm going to start with. Here's the top 10 of the who's who with Valentin Barco.
Should we say that the Golazo 50, for if anyone doesn't know, is a list created by GolazoArgentino.com. They're on Twitter as well. Every year they kind of do a top 50 list of players under 23. So it's a good little reference point if you like your South American wonder kids.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, really good point. And it is a really good little database. I've actually never been on it. I've just heard you speak about it. I've clicked on it today once I've looked at the pod, and actually I'm very impressed with how they present the data and how they actually come up with the list. So it's really cool. So we're going to go top 10. Is this in numerical order, Joe? I believe it is, yes?
It is from 10 to 1, mate.
Fantastic. So Valentin Barco is number 10. Number 9?
Soon to be going to Brighton.
Do you think
you seen that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Do you think they just use FM as their way of eyeing players? Because they just seem to get wonder kids left, right, and centre.
He's good, though. I don't get why no one else has jumped on him yet.
We say that about a lot of players.
Well, especially him, because he's like 10 million, or is it $10 million, 10 million euros release clause, roughly?
I don't think enough punts are taken by the Premier League teams.
Nah, me neither.
No, what they do is they let teams like Brighton take that punt and then spend 100 million buying them off them. Because it's easier to do that, right? Number 9 is who, Joe?
Alan Velasco.
Perfect. David, who's number 8?
Mateus Sule.
Oh, very well.
He's
and
good.
Joe, who's number 9? Who's number 7?
All right, I know what we're doing tonight. There. Right, Brighton's Facundo Buonanotte.
Buonanotte. Nice name.
Good player.
Yeah, up at 6 is Carlos Alcaraz.
Where's he played, though?
San Francisco.
Southampton.
Close enough.
David, who's next?
We've got Alan Varela.
Yeah, it's tough words, aren't they? We've also got Garnacho, the overhead kick enthusiast. I think that's what it says here. Joe, next up.
Thiago Almeida.
Enzo Fernandez.
He's an FM. He's an FM. Wonder Kid, big
I
time.
love Thiago. Thiago's probably one of those that out of this list I've signed the most. He is awesome. Number 2, we've got Enzo Fernandez, and then number 1, Dave's FPL team being held together by
Julian Alvarez.
Julian Alvarez. So really, I mean, a lot of well-known players in that list. It makes you wonder. They've just won the World Cup. They've got an exciting future ahead, right? Just with that top 10.
Yeah,
Remember
they've
I
got
said
some
the other
exciting
day?
players.
I mean, this is not so. When you look at it, Julian Alvarez, I said to you the other night, didn't I? Only player that can wear the crest on both national and club for Club World Cup and World Cup.
Yeah.
He's the only player that wears both.
What do you mean?
So you know that they wear the crest, don't they, on the centre of the shirt for when you win the Club World Cup or the World Cup.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
He's the only player that can wear it on both international
that's
and
cool.
club.
Yeah.
I thought that was quite cool.
He's got some serious honours already, hasn't he? At
Yeah.
such a young age.
It's crazy. Utterly crazy.
He's just in good teams, though, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's timed it well. But it is going to be 20 to 11 that we are going to take a really good look at and see if there's any Football Manager gems lurking in this list. So we have all the screenshots, which Dave's going to put on the screen for us during the YouTube pod. So if you want to have a bit more of a reference, feel free to check them out there. What you can also do is you can have a little look on the YouTube, which is what I've just said, right? Or the website. I'm sure there'll be something up. We'll get Matt to write something up, I'm sure. Number 20, Joe. Talk us through him. Who is it? Where has he come from? And what's his name?
Boca Juniors, Ezequiel Zeballos.
Yeah, that's who I was just about to say. He's a winger, yeah? Left winger?
Could be far right, mate, if you're Joey Barton.
He's got some highlights, and that's just his hairstyle.
We've talked about Barco. We've talked about a lot of players that have come out, and Boca Juniors always hotbed of talent. So he's the first one on our list. And say winger, 20 years old. You look at the price tag, and when you go in, Premier League teams taking a punt, you look at just his attributes at the start of the game. You're already in the 15s. So it's a no-brainer, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he looks good.
He looks very good. Good pace, good tricky winger as well. It's got player traits of tries tricks, cuts inside from the left. He's tasty. At 20, he's got 15 dribbling, which is very good. 15 flair, and then he's physically just very quick. So
Dave's just messaging Matt Hobbs now.
That could be a dangerous little man. That could be a dangerous little player, if you ask me. Picked up between 3.3 to 10 million pounds. Joe, have you tried to sign him at Famicao? It seems the sort of player that you might.
It's certainly not, mate. Not someone. No. I tend to find with players from like Boca and River, their wages are not like ridiculously high for Premier League. But if you try to sign them at somewhere like in Portugal, they probably want like 40k, something like that, which for Premier League standards is not a lot of money. But when you're managing finances in lesser leagues, they can sometimes kind of outweigh what you're looking for. So yeah, not someone that I've looked to sign just yet.
Super. Well, I think he'll pop up in a few places, and I'm actually shocked I've not seen him in my save.
Yeah,
because he
rocks up in China, mate.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually not in China. He does look very, very good. Determination of 13. Again, we talked about that last week, right, Dave? About it sometimes being fixed, sometimes not being fixed. I
think the age of 20, and he's at a pretty big team, he'll be fixed, to be fair. But I like it. He's a good player, like really well-rounded attributes, young player. I think he'll turn out to be a really good signing.
Fantastic. Right, so we go to Holland next. David, number 19.
Yeah, Gaston Avia, centre half, playing for Ajax. And again, some really, really tidy attributes on him. It's not your sort of traditional taller winger. He's only 6 foot, not winger, centre half, sorry. He's not your traditional tall centre half. He's only 6 foot, but still has got the attributes to, I think, be a really top level player. Got a half decent free kick attribute as well. I think he's a ball playing defender. I think you're laughing. He's a really, really tidy player.
I think when you
left-footed
look
as
at
well.
Ajax, I was going to say, when you look at Ajax, and it's more about technical, isn't it? I mean, I know they're doing a bit crap this year, but it's more about the technical football than being a lumpy centre half. And we know we had the Wonderkid watch, didn't we, for Jarrell Hato a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah.
And you think that's the kind of player that they expect probably Avila to move on, and then Hato can step in. And obviously they've got a homegrown replacement right there, or vice versa. If Hato is doing the business, then he's a more than adequate backup if needs be.
I'm looking at as well set pieces. You got a decent penalty taker there as well. You centre half penalty taker, mate. I like that. Who's it? I know, very slight tangent. Is it Tapsoba? Who's a good penalty taker as well? I don't know why. There's something about that. A centre half that could take a penalty.
You say that? Probably the greatest penalty taking. Well, one of the best penalty take. Yeah, Harry Maguire. That penalty he took in the Euro final was insane.
Better all the clips of people saying, "Why is Harry Maguire taking a penalty?"
Yeah, bang! I think that was probably me. To be fair, I said that. But yeah, smashed it against the camera. That was class.
I just think Daishi taking a penalty.
Yeah, that's a good penalty.
I don't think I've ever seen that. To be fair, maybe that's
it's the most Brexit penalty you'll ever see in your life. Yeah, you just imagine. Yeah.
Does he have hair? Like long hair, flowing hair?
Nah, it's
he's no Barry Venison, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, bless him.
No, I like the Avila though. Like, even physicals are really solid. Mentals are fantastic. I think again he could turn out to be a really top end centre half in the game.
He's like you said, he's very good with the ball at his feet as well. Which is, you are kind of sacrificing that height, but if you want to play out from the back, this man will do that for you very, very easily.
You could have him as a DM as well, I think.
I was going to say he could push up a bit higher as well.
Well,
but to have technique,
isn't it?
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, I mean players like Alvarez at your place, Martinez at our place. Just big, short, aggressive fuckers, and he's definitely going to look like one of them. Next up, we're going to head back over to Argentina to Teacher's favourite place, and probably one of Teacher's favourite names, right?
Yeah, Federico Redondo.
There you go.
I've Argentinos Juniors. So yeah, I signed him with the Wall Saver, and I got him for a really good price.
Next to nothing, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I think I've signed him on a pre-contract, then signed him for pennies. Really, really, really solid player. This is one that whatever level if you're managing at top level or a decent sized team, I would definitely have a look at him early on in your saves. Because a really solid player, and you're talking about Avila having like really consistent and solid attributes like all across the board again with Redondo. Such a solid footballer. Really, really good.
I mean, his football heritage as well, obviously, with his dad.
I was going to say, I'm assuming it's not just namesake, it is actually.
No, that is his son, mate, and he's in IRL highly rated. Again, looking like it's probably going to be about 8 million that he's going to move to Europe, but obviously we don't know where yet. Has been touted for the Premier League, but could be obviously any of the major Europeans, I reckon. And I think someone's going to pick up an absolute little talent there.
Yeah, that is. I'm just looking at his attributes there. At the age of 19 to have passing of 15, that's scary. Like how good that, and like his attributes as an overall. I mean, physically very good, mentally very good, and again technically very good. And he's only going to get better, right?
He's just going to develop to be able to play every role, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's big and he's tall, he's strong. He's good with his feet. Yeah, he could be a merciful player. Yeah, I very much like him. He is somebody that we should see probably in the near future. Like you said, we're going to go over to David Beckham's team now, Joe. And we're going to go to. I'm going to try this one. Are you ready? Facundo Barras.
I'd go Facundo Farias, but that's close enough for you.
Okay. The eye dragged a little bit. It's got him set up here as a number 10. He does look like he's got the attributes as a winger, which is probably why it's one of his favorite places as well. But he's got technique of 16, dribbling of 16, flair of 16. For him to be as a number 10, that could be some spicy balls. And he likes to run with the ball through the centre with his player traits. Any experience with this chap?
Couple of FMs ago. Again, you just look at those attributes, and that's just developed as he's getting on, into Miami. So he's gettable. You kind of look at him, and he's like a wish version of Lionel Messi. That's
Yeah,
Pretty much. It's like they've just got a backup for him, isn't it? Sitting in that 10 role.
he's 5'8". Just punch
I
him
reckon
like-
there's probably loads of people on FM that have signed him because he's been about for quite a while.
I've lived such a sheltered life, you know. If it
Happens
isn't
when you
Brexit
just manage
football, I've
Man
got
United.
no idea. Yeah, but maybe that's a problem. Right?
He's too old for you, mate.
Whoa. Why? He's 20.
Yeah, it's too old for you, isn't it? You normally have to sign all the Wonder Kids.
Maybe
Okay.
that's what it is.
He looks serious, though. He looks a serious baller.
He's
One for
just
Matt
gonna
Hobbs, Dave.
Yeah, I might have to get on. I might have to genuinely send him a message for some of these.
So
He is
have a look
going to
at
get
Golazo.
better
Yeah,
and better.
If I speak to him, I'll say, "Have you, by chance, have you looked at the Golazo Argentina?" And he'll be like, "What are you on about?"
He'll know,
Yeah.
mate. They're a big
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah, right. It probably. He's very good. I think he's my favorite at the moment. Just with that flair, that technique, I could just see him creating havoc on that back line. So that should be pretty
He'd
cool.
just sit in that 10 when he'd pop up with little through balls. He'd jinky little runs through. You know, he can do it all in that final third.
He's got quite an underrated cheeky 12 for long shots, which makes you think that he's got a banger or two in him. With the technique as well, I could just see him like scoring a screamer for miles.
The one
it
thing
could be
that
fun.
slightly puts me off is when you look at the start of the game, he's got damaged cruciate ligaments.
Yeah.
Does that then become an issue further down the line?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Good point. Good spot. I didn't actually see that. And he is yet to feature in this save for Inter Miami. But yeah, fingers crossed he will be one to watch in the future. Now we're going to go to Italy, David, with the next one. And actually, I think I recognise this name.
I recognise the name as well, but is it?
It would have been from Atletico Madrid, I think. Is probably where you recognise.
Yeah. Is it
Perez.
Nuhian Perez?
Yeah, like Neuin or Nuin. Nuin Perez.
Nuhian Perez into.
I think you're right.
Mr. N. Perez.
Udinese centre back.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Atletico Madrid, probably when we did the network save at Atletico Madrid, which I think Joe said he couldn't remember us doing that, by the way.
It's because I was fucking walking the league, mate.
You were Barca, weren't you, Joe?
The dog, mate.
You let that one get away as well. So 17 aggression, 17 determination, 15 tackling, 22. He is only 6 foot, but everything else physically, it's just a monster.
Mate,
Absolute
Sandro
monster.
Martinez has just hurt you, hasn't he?
Yeah, no, I just don't. No,
He's
no,
hurt
it's
you,
just
hasn't
the
he?
way. It's just common sense, isn't it? You put your big guys at the back, you put your chucky guys at the front. Sandro Martinez has hurt a lot of people. He's hurting fucking self
You could have
as
a
well.
6'6" centre half in FM and the ball will still fly over his head.
Yeah, true. Fair point, well presented. I'm assuming with all his moves, though, this guy's going to be quite tough to get hold of.
Yeah, a little bit more in value, but I think again, I didn't realise. You know, when was he at Atleti? 3 or 4 years ago. So it must have been obviously sort of that early stages of his FM time, and I'm sure I've signed him. If not, I've definitely seen him. So, but he's still young, 22 years of age, and in FM, really solid centre half.
Yeah, his value skyrockets as well. Like he is a solid little centre half.
Yeah, little. You said it right, Joe. You said it right. Little 6 foot is tiny. We're going to head back to Boca Juniors for the next one.
He's
Ezekiel. We're going to head back to Boca for Ezekiel Fernandez, centre midfielder. His player trait stops play. He's got tackling of 12, very physical. Aggression's quite low for an Argentinian, but this guy could be a very good ball winner for you. And once he gets the ball back, he has got some very good technical, mental and technical attributes to be able to pass the ball off to someone as well. So this is
an everywhere player, mate. He's an everywhere
player.
Like I literally, when I had done the Boca save in the beta, mate, he was just everywhere in it. Left-footed as well, so he gives you balance on that left side of midfield, and literally up and down, all over the place. Loves a red card.
Looks like he looks like a footballer as well. He's got his little earrings on the face back.
Links with Liverpool in real life as well.
Okay, well that means I don't like him. It's a shame. A bit like Gravenberch. I used to love that guy. Not anymore.
Who?
Who?
Yeah.
I don't know who that is. Yeah, lovely guy, Joe. He looks like such a well-rounded player at the age of 20.
Really good midfielder, yeah.
And he could play any of the spots. Really good. Dave, is this? I mean, Argentina is somewhere you like to go. Is this like in your transfers? Is this someone that you would pick up in your? So he could do a job at Wolves now, could he?
I know. It's interesting, like the role that you would play him in. I think I don't know. I don't know what sort of role that you would play him in though, because he's got like is he tackling high enough that you can have him as like a DM or like ball winner, but then at the same time his dribbling's quite good as well. So he can win the ball and drive it forward. So I don't know, even as like maybe a central midfielder support or something like that. He's got good passing, so maybe even
get
a
him in the
DLP.
Segundo Volante.
It's probably not the
Not
bad
shout. Or even a little left-sided Mazzala would be pretty decent for him as well. Likes to carry the ball well. But yeah, I think let's not sleep on that passing technique and vision, because that could be a cocktail for some beautiful passes.
Yeah, good player, and yeah, solid. I like him.
Well, that's halfway through this little list. We're going to go over to somewhere a little bit local to Joe in Tottenham.
It's not local to me.
Well, it's closer than me and closer
Don't
than
even
Dave.
compare me to these shit cunts.
We're not a Tottenham podcast. Striker.
Used to be.
Alejo Veliz.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what?
Wow.
Didn't know much about him.
No.
And kind of knew he was at Spurs. I've seen him in the last couple. I think he scored last week in real life. I'm pretty sure he scored his first goal for Spurs. As I say, previous to kind of him moving to Spurs, not a name that I was kind of would recognise. When I see Rosario Central, I just think of a certain player with the surname of Ruben. But yeah, he looks tidy enough. I mean, he's not Harry Kane, but he's you look at his value in game at the start, and that's ridiculous. And it's probably to do with the fact that he's only just signed a contract. Probably got a fairly decent potential on him. But yeah, I think he's you look at heading, finishing, composure, like your normal bits off the ball movement. It's very good for a 19-year-old.
He's going to get you goals, isn't he? Absolutely going to get you goals.
Not me, mate. He plays for Spurs.
But he's very much. He's got him down here. Looks like it's his favourite role is poacher, and he looks like a little fox in the box, like with the heading, with the finishing. Anticipation's good. He could just play right on that last man and be that Harry Kane-esque player where he can tap it in, because that's what Harry Kane is, a tapping merchant.
I think he looks a solid times. Especially at the age of 19 as well. Like, you can think whether you loan him out or you get him, first team football if you're managing Spurs. You got at the age of 22, 23, you'd expect the finishing to be like 15, 16. His heading might creep up. Mentally and physically, he's going to get a little bit better as well. So I think he looks a really tidy player. I think he's picked up an injury in real life, so we might not see him short term in a Spurs shirt, but he's a really, really tidy player. I don't think he's someone that, like Joe said, because the value is so high, I don't think he's going to be someone that is easy to sign on FM. Maybe he's a loan signing first year or two.
And he might be one of those as well. If he's not getting first team football, you might find him transfer listed or something like that. So yeah, could be one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's head back over to Boca. We're going to go see. I mean, Boca have got a lot of these players. I know, obviously, it's Argentina, but they've got a lot with Christian Medina.
Yeah, picked a nice one there for you, mate.
Yeah, I like my time.
Another central midfielder.
But mate, this guy is. I love this guy.
The aggression gets you though, doesn't it? On a few of these players, you'd expect the aggression to be higher. Yeah, true.
Only 8 here we're looking at. But that 17 determination for somebody that's 20 with attributes that good already, and a natural fitness of 16, he makes me happy already, right? He can do everything in that middle. And he's just going to get better and better. Absolutely better and better. The only one of the downsides, he's right-footed only, so he won't even touch his left. But he's got a lovely player trait of looks to pass rather than score as a central midfielder, which means he's... But with 13 long shot, that's a shame, really, isn't it? I think he'd probably take a shot on or two. But good player. Values quite nicely as well, 3.6 to 10.5. So again, somebody that you could pick up pretty early on into the save, but
there's definitely value there, isn't there?
yes, even if you just turned him round.
I think technically compared to Fernandez, he's not quite as good, but I think his mentals and physicals are better.
Yes.
So I think they if you've got a left and a right there, you're fairly complementary.
I mean, crikey, I'm just looking at them both now, and you're right. Yeah, you could have one and the other. That'd be hell of a midfield. They've done quite well, right? And obviously, that's just if you do go on and manage Boca and you start up with those two. If you've got quite a good money in the bank with just selling those two,
Boca have got an insane squad for Football Manager.
Oh, well, maybe, there you go.
Central defenders, not so much, but yeah.
Save idea. There you go.
Maybe so.
Cavani up front.
Talking about up front.
Youth development challenge.
Ooh, talking about up front. David, do you want to tell us about this next one? Our number
Lucas Beltran, playing for Fiorentina in Italy. Again, I think similar to Veliz. I like this guy a lot. Obviously not as tall as Veliz. Beltran's only 5'9", but still got 15 finishing, 13 heading, good on the boys, 14 dribbling, good technique at 15, 17 work rate.
That's big, I think.
I'm getting the word pressing forward.
Mate, well, you know that I play with Simeone for Millicao, and his work rate is really high. And as a striker, mate, he's just constantly. If you're playing a pressing game, like when you see a striker have good work rate in the match engine, like it just looks great. He's a bit Tevez-esque, you know, just chasing the ball down and creating something off the back of forcing a mistake. Yeah, love it.
Yeah, he's really tidy player.
He has. He's got some really good technicals, but that work rate is huge for somebody that you could play almost as that lone striker. You know, he's gonna put a hell of a shift in. That's big for a team, especially with the way that certain people play the game nowadays with all the high pressing. He is a beautiful player. Dave, you're absolutely spot on with that pressing forward.
Yeah, I think he can play at most roles, though. To be honest, I think obviously, like you look at the main things for a forward, you're finishing, you're heading. You're off the ball, you work right. They're all up there. So I think you're right. In a range of different roles or formations, I think this guy would be really solid. And because his value is pretty decent, because I assume he's only just moved to Fiorentina quite recently. But no disrespect to them, they're not a top end team in Italy. Like they're not the top of the Serie A. So I think he would be achievable for you to sign him for a fairly respectable fee within the first few years of the game.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Last one, Mr. Friday FM. Do you want to tell us all about the chap on loan from City?
Yeah, Maximo Perrone. Currently on loan. Well, on loan at the start of the game with Las Palmas. Las Palmas, obviously renowned for developing some really good young players, and he's another one. City signed him from Vélez. I think he played a couple of times maybe in the Carabao Cup or FA Cup for him, but he's gone out on loan to Las Palmas, just obviously get some game time. Again, another silky footballer. I think he's like the Rodri replacement potentially. So I think they're just grooming him at the moment to make sure he gets game time, so he develops. Put him in a good league, playing in La Liga. Yeah, it's definitely. So you just look at his attributes. If you remember, Santiago Assasabar was an FM signing for a defensive midfielder. Not quite as aggressive, but he's got that factor where you go, yeah, I'd have a go on that. Left-footed as well. Nothing like a left-footed player to kind of unlock passes forward and things like that. There's something about a left footer, other than when they take penalties, that always looks nice on the eye, I think.
It says here that he, in his biography, that he is labelled as the next Mascherano.
It's not a bad chart, mate.
It's not terrible.
I'm sure I've signed him before.
West Ham.
I'm sure I signed him before, but it would have been before City signed him, so it was probably a couple of years ago on FM. But yeah, you know what? With this list, obviously, Golazo Argentina can obviously pick out these players, but not 100% of the time the good players in real life reflect that on Football Manager. But the last 10 that we've spoke about are unbelievable players. I think all 10 of these are like top players, like really good footballers.
That's the thing. Obviously, Golazo 50, he's not on FM related thing. It's just that it's about, you know, Argentinian football.
Yeah.
And when you look at the top 10, you know, Julian Alvarez, he's been on this list the last couple of years, like before he went to City. Enzo Fernandez, obviously everyone knew him at Benfica, but obviously before that as well. Almada, you know, we've known him in FM for donkeys. Garnacho was obviously clearly, because he plays for Manchester United, he's the high profile player. Varela, not so much, but definitely in FM. There'll be lots of people that sign him in FM. Alcaraz, I think when he moved to Southampton, showed his quality straight away in a shit team, let's be honest. Buonanotte at Brighton, you know, is in arguably the league with the biggest eyes on it, you know, all year round. Matthias Sula is one, because he looks a cracking little player. I'm pretty sure when we done the Ibrahimovic Adventures in Wonderkid-Land, I think we was going to put him in because they're playing at the same team at the moment on loan. And then Velasco and obviously Valentin Barco, everyone knows from FM this year, he's probably the most signed player, you know, 8 million release clause or whatever it is, like absolutely fantastic. But you're then looking at the next depth of 10 players under 23 and you're going, every one of them is a baller.
Serious.
Yeah, and there's 50 of these players they've got on this list. And there's some players in there at like, you know, 50 to 49, whatever, that they're still really good players. They've got such an abundance of talent coming out of South America and in specifically Argentina. It's a great place to go and just nick players from if you're playing FM. Even playing FM in Argentina, it's difficult if you're playing with teams that are not River Plate and Boca, maybe Racing. There's not, the money isn't there. Like, you sell players but it's not enough to, you don't make that much money on them. Obviously with like Julian Alvarez, you think, was he 15, 20 million or something? It wasn't silly money that City signed him for. They've just signed Echeverry, you know, again, not a lot of money, you know, so that you don't make bundles. So the league's quite hard, like financially. So it is a lot of developing young players.
Yeah, but the list is like I said, the list is bang on. Like the quality of the player there, I would be interested to. Obviously, we'll put a link in the description of the pod, but I'll be interested to see some of the players further down the list to compare to them to see how good they actually are on FM as well.
I'm loving the fact that we go through that list and there's still, you know, there's still players still in Argentina. You know, they haven't been picked up yet. They're not been exposed to Europe yet, and maybe kind of some of that freedom taken out of their game, but. Yeah, I mean, there's some cracking players here. Like Dave said, it might be a little tab I need to keep open on my ready for next year and kind of get ahead of the game, because yeah, that's great bit of work here, Joe, because this is awesome.
I mean, I didn't write it, mate.
No, but you found it.
Yeah, no,
I'll use it. Will you use it? Right?
No, but I read a lot of stuff with South America. It's, you know, as you well know, we've been watching some of the Portuguese football recently, and even when you've been watching it, like it's quite refreshing to watch something that isn't the Premier League, like isn't so over analysed. Like I've spoken about it before on the pod, that the football's so over analysed that everyone's scared of making a mistake. There's no flair, there's no individuality. You know, really, it's normally a mistake leads to an opportunity. Whereas you start watching like the Portuguese league or a bit of Argentinian football, Brazilian, like you watch those games and there is still individual moments of brilliance. And like, you know, like with Portugal, we was watching Sporting with Gyökeres. We've watched, you know, Porto the other night, and you see these players that get linked about, and you can see why they're getting linked about. Whereas a lot of it is just Twitter stuff. You know, lots of people go, "Oh, Gyökeres didn't score the other night for Sporting." Yeah, he had like 4 assists, I think. Like, he was massively influential in the game, just didn't score. And where people are criticising him because he didn't score against a lesser team, but if you actually watch the game, you'd see what an impact he actually has, and that's why it's good. Like, especially when you love FM as well. Like, when you watch some of these games, I mean, we've watched the Libertadores together. We've watched a few, like we've watched games like that, and every time you watch it, you go, "That's actually decent," because it's different, and you'll see players that you'll recognise, and you go, "Oh, I've actually never seen them play," and I think you get that feeling of, because you play FM and you see those players playing not in the big leagues, for instance, that you have that little bit of, "Oh, yeah, I know this player. I know this player that's playing in Brazil, or he's playing in Argentina." And then it's that same feeling you get when you see him play in the Premier League. and you go, "Oh, I signed him like 3 years ago. He's going to be a baller." You get that before they even make that move. And it just makes you feel like an excellent nerd.
Yeah, it's great for when you have that little conversation. Like, yeah, I know that guy already. You're way behind the curve here. I love it. It is awesome. Right, that's going to be linked in the description if we remember. And the screenshots will be available on screen over on our YouTube. Save update, gentlemen. Joe, you weren't here last week. Anything happened in Famalicão?
Everything goes on in Famalicão, mate. That's where it goes down these days. I did listen back before you recorded last week because obviously I was due to be on it, but had a bit of man flu. I had a season 5 update, which was quite a big one, and I've done season 5. I'm into season 6 now. Like, we're literally flying through it at the moment. I'm enjoying the save a lot. I will say, if you're looking to play a new save, Portugal's really good. Outside of Benfica, Sporting, and Porto, there's a lot of little teams. I'm actually playing a game going, oh, I'd quite like to manage that team. Oh, I'd quite like to manage that team. Like, there's a few teams in there that have got loads of Brazilians, like a couple of, like, there's really good youth prospects coming through, and it's just a really fun league to play. But for me, the 27-28 season, I think I'd said last year about obviously Champions League football. We're battling. We've broken into the top echelon in terms of league finishes. Not yet in terms of obviously stature of the club, but we're kind of getting there. But had quite a busy transfer windows. Enrique Araujo, who we bought in, we had him on loan. Obviously, he's on loan at the club from the start. He'd gone back. We bought him for 475k from Benfica. Was by far my best striker for a number of seasons. Fiorentina, second mention tonight on the pod, they came in with a bid worth £51 million. It's 36 plus 15, but can't say no to that. That's ridiculous money for that striker. I mean, he's still only 23, I think, something like that. He's gone to Fiorentina, values over 100 million, and he's scoring goals in Italy. So, like, obviously, I've absolutely done my nuts on that transfer fee. 475k to 51 million is obviously a massive turnover, and that generated obviously a lot of opportunity for the squad. Nathan, my right back, who's been in the Portuguese team of the year every season that we've played, his release clause got obviously activated. Valencia took him, so that's 15.25 million. So two kind of influential players in my squad leaving. So I had to obviously get some replacements in. It's the first year that I've kind of gone, do you know what, I'm going to have an under-23 side. I'm going to start giving opportunities, bringing some players in that can play in the team below. So as players sell, I haven't then got to go out and sign them. I've got them ready to go, start developing and bringing them up. So I signed 3 or 4 players for that, but kind of first team players. Gabriel Moscado, who looks like he's going to PSG, bought him in for 10.5 million. Now, he's a strange one because he's a defensive midfielder, and I don't play a defensive midfielder. But I thought for his value, that was his release clause, and I thought, you know what, I basically bought him as an investment so that I would still play him. I'd fit him in occasionally, but I just thought for that money, no one's gone in and bought him. I'm going to go in, I'm going to get him, use some of that Araujo money just to basically make more money. So that was an investment there. I signed a left back from Santos called Souza for 450k. My God, he's a pure me fullback, like attacking fullback, Brazilian, like just fits the criteria for me. So he's come in. I signed, obviously I've got new gens cropping up now. I've got a Mexican centre midfielder from Santos Laguna, Salvador Espinoza. He's come in, left-footed, kind of central midfielder. Looks an absolute baller, and again, a bit of an investment, just kind of padding this squad out now to be competitive with the top boys. Obviously sold Araujo, so I needed another striker. I actually couldn't really find anybody to transfer, and I'd seen a couple of times, obviously, because Atletico Madrid were my affiliate club. They actually cancelled the affiliation for this season because they said our stature had become too big, so there was no benefit to them. But they had Samu Omarodian, obviously young striker that they've got there. I took him on loan. I thought, you know what, I'm going to take him on loan first, see what he's like. More to come on that later. I signed. There's a right back. He went up for sale. New gen right back, 48 million quid at Estrela de Amadora in Portugal. Right, he's a new gen mate. He was like 16 and he was 48 million quid.
Look at that.
I've done the pursuit on him. When I watched these games, I think I was sitting in Discord with Dupe saying, like, I'm literally going to watch a 16-year-old right back play, watching it.
Can I just say, like, sorry to butt in, but like, I'm incredibly impressed with. When I say I do the pursuit, I show my face and I walk away. Joe was genuinely just sat there watching the whole game. I just couldn't believe it. Like, I mean, yeah, fair play. Like, that is proper commitment.
We've got a podcast due on that, haven't we? We were meant to spoke about it a few weeks ago.
I think we have spoken about it before, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, the pursuit is a good thing, mate. It works, is what I'm going to say here. So I kept. There's no way he's 16. I ain't paying fucking 48 million for him. Fuck off. So I kept just going in with little bids. He's going to be a good player, so I wasn't being shy with what I was offering, but I was just kept putting bids in. They kept rejecting them, putting bids in, rejecting them. I'd go and see him. I'd talk him up in the press, do all the normal things, and then eventually he got the ump when they rejected it, and he transfer listed himself for 24. Well, put a transfer request in, and he was 24 million. So effectively half what his value was prior to that. And I thought, do you know what? Sorry, I'm going to do it. You know, Nathan went for 15.25 million, put another 10 million into that for a right back that I could either have forever, because, you know, it's going to be, he could be there for 12, 13, 14, 15 seasons for how young he is, or he'll get purchased because he was that, you know, when you look at a new gen, you go, you're far too good for how old you are. Like, you're going to be one of them worldies. So signed him up. Obviously spent a big chunk on that, but I think the return on investment will pay for itself. Went to Benfica, signed. He plays left and right back, Diogo Spencer. Mate,
I tried to sign him just.
Yeah,
Super Sport as well. Yeah, he rejected me, but
a couple of million quid, mate. And he's honestly, what a fantastic backup he's been for me already this season. I've signed another new gen because basically I've got players. So I had Echeverry playing on the left. I had Franco Gonzalez on the right. I had Prestiani, who we're going to talk about more later, on the right. I had my wide players fucking excellent. And then all of a sudden they just started being prize pricks. So, yeah, it all kind of went sideways for me. So I signed a new gen from Gremio called Matthias. I've signed a centre-half from Sao Paulo called Douglas. And, yeah, it's kind of, I spent a lot of money, but I'm still in profit. So from all the player sales I've had, because in January, Luciano Rodriguez, who Dave's mate at the Copa Club, has just done a piece on him, IRL. He plays for Liverpool in Uruguay. I had him. He wanted out, so I had to sell him. He went to Norwich for 10 million. Gustavo Sarr, who I've spoke about a few times. I've recommended him to a couple of people. Rebel Leipzig come in literally on deadline day, paid his release clause of 33 million, so he went. And then Franco Gonzalez, the guy that I raved about, I even wrote a piece for the website about. He was just an absolute knob-rot. Wanted a new contract, wanted silly money for Portugal. Like, I'm talking like 70, 80 grand a week. And I'm just not paying that because you're just going to bankrupt the club. Mate, we have 600 season ticket holders. Like, you can't be paying 60, 70 grand a week. I could, but I don't want to because that's not how I'm playing the game. But kept going on, kept trying to offer him a contract. And then he got to a point where he said he doesn't want to leave the club anymore. And I thought, oh, fuck, finally. Right, let's get him signed up on a contract. No, his agent was still a knob. So I thought he's got a year left. Let's cash in. And Villa come in, 44 million, took him off my hands, signed him for 3.5 million. So I made massive profit on him. But he was out the door. So it kind of put me in a position where I was starting to lose some of my big players. Like Gustavo Sarr had been literally played my Segundo Volante role the whole time. Absolutely fantastic little player. Gonzalez, excellent player. And I was like, oh, fuck me, I'm losing some of these guys now. So I've had to kind of spend some money getting some youngsters in. And every time I've kind of had a victory in like the Champions League or get defeat in the Champions League, it comes up with young Famalicão. So it's like, I said to Duke the other day, like my oldest player was like 24 in one of the games. I was like, he's too young. But yeah, so built the 23s because that was something I wanted to do to start having a bit of a backup there. Got a terrible Champions League draw. I had Dortmund, Valencia, Copenhagen, PSG, Celtic, Ferencváros, Red Bull Leipzig, Arsenal, which we drew against Dortmund, beat Valencia, drew against Copenhagen, lost to PSG, drew with Celtic, lost to Red Bull Leipzig, drew with Arsenal. Somehow I managed to get into the playoffs where we drew Benfica and I lost to them. But just getting through to that playoffs was like another 12 million quid. So the Champions League is just bolstering the bank balance, which is nice. And when I think I was talking to you, Duke, the other night about the coefficients, how Portugal's moved up, like they've got 3 Champions League places now, whereas before it was just 1. Now they've got 3, so it's gradually moving up. And we were the top team in Europe for coefficients in Portugal because where I'd gone far in the Europa League for 2 years, and then obviously I've been in the Champions League. I've actually done better than the other Portuguese teams, so it's quite nice to see Famalicão up there in the coefficients, which was good. In terms of the league, I've done what I've done most season, where I start really well, get excited, think, oh, fuck me, this could be the year. And then got to January, I had 3 defeats in January, and then literally Benfica just didn't lose all the way up towards the end of the season, where I was still in it mathematically, but they were about 9 points ahead. They played us, beat us, and that was them winning the league. I didn't get to give them a guard of honour, dupe, which you found out this week was something new in FM, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
good. I made Omarodin's transfer permanent because he was the league's top scorer. He won Player of the League in Portugal as well. 8 million quid. Thank you very much. Yeah. So done that. And I think for the season, we finished 3rd in that year. I'd finished 2nd the year previous. Literally, I think the amount of players that left and have had to come in, it really unsettled the team. I finished 3rd, but level on points with Porto. But they had like a resurgence at the end of the season where they were going on a really good run. Vincent Kompany done wonders with him as manager, but he left at the end of the season to go to AC Milan, and James Milner took over the reins at Porto. So you got Hansi Flick at Benfica, James Milner at Porto. So it's been good, and obviously we'll go into the next season. We've got to go through the playoffs in the Champions League to get into the group stage. Which the first time I'd done that, obviously I got knocked out by Ajax. The following year I got in naturally just by the league position, and then this year I've got to qualify again, so that'll be interesting. But got a young squad, lots of good young players, just got to try and get them all to mould now. And then we're going to season 6 with high expectations. This season I want to go in there and really try and win the league.
Love it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just sat there listening to it, man. Like, I have to admit, like, there's not many people that I could just sit and listen to talk about Football Manager all day, and you're one of them. Like, the way that you just put put the story across and that, and the narrative you build of it all is just, it's very nice, mate. And it sounds like you're doing a fucking cracking job there as well. And it's just a shame that we can't see it. We have to just hear about it. I'm sure if we have some big games, we'll get it shared in the Discord, don't we?
Mate, it's always the thing is I'm really enjoying playing it, and that's the best thing at the moment. Like I haven't
always said,
I screenshot everything. I've got save files of all of them. I've got my notepad out here, and I literally write notes as I'm going through because I know on the pod that we're going to talk about it. So I kind of just write all the highlights of what's going on. Things that I kind of haven't talked about. I've stuck to a kind of 4-4-2, 4-2-4 system from the start. I've got like a 4-3-3 that I can go to sometimes. I talked about it before, trying to make a more defensive formation to play against the bigger teams. But you know what? I think when you when you're an underdog against these teams, playing a higher tempo against them actually unsettles them. Whereas if you try and go defensive, I think sometimes you just make yourself too vulnerable. So I've kind of stuck to it and gone, do you know what? Fuck it. Balls out. Let's have it.
Yeah, no, very, very impressive. And we're sure next time we touch base about it, hopefully you've got a trophy in the cabinet. Yeah, you reckon?
No,
Do you think you'll win a trophy quicker than Dave wins a trophy on his?
Oh, easy.
I've won trophies, mate.
Well, Champions League.
Possibly, probably will.
I don't think I'll win a Champions League. I mean, I was close in the Europa League.
Yeah, you were.
I was close in the Europa League. It would be nice. It would be nice to win a Portuguese league.
Yeah, I think that's got to be the next step, right? And then hopefully you can build upon that, help your rep a bit. I mean, I'm assuming your rep's quite high anyway, but only 600 season ticket holders is quite low.
Well, they've only got their stadium's only 5,500 seater,
right,
which is mental because there's some Portuguese teams that aren't. I'll say you'd expect them to be battling relegation every year that have got massive stadiums. Yeah, they've got a really tiny little stadium. I mean, it's North Portugal as well, so it's not like they're in Lisbon kind of area. So it's not their catchment like Braga or the big team in Northern Portugal.
Right. Yeah.
And obviously, you know, they've only got two stands themselves. So, but I've got a new stadium being built, which I should move into maybe the end of season 6. So
we got a name for that yet?
No,
not gonna be named after you.
Not yet. It'll probably be like the Famalicão Stadium or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, which it works out quite nice because the one blog post that I wrote for this was obviously in the future, and it was that they'd built a new stadium. We'd had all these players come through. Like the narrative, I'm working towards that narrative. So I'm kind of in my mind. I'm thinking, do you know what I'll probably do when we move into that stadium? If we've won the league, then I'd maybe start then as the current day.
Okay.
Just kind of go from there. I don't know. I would like to write about it, but I have more fun playing it, and I don't want to stop playing because I think
that's the main thing.
And we've
always said that, haven't we? We've always said that content kills sales.
It's difficult just to be able to sit down and have the time to be able to write it at the moment. So, and I don't think I do it the credit just smashing through with, you know, doing a save update blog. I want it to be something a bit different. We never say never, but you can hear it all on the 5-Star Potential podcast.
Yeah, boy.
Well, there you go, David. I think we're going to probably leave ours till next week, right? Sound fair to you? I don't really want to follow that.
I've not done a huge amount anyway. Since the last pod, I mean, I've only started second half of the season, and by the next pod, I would have finished the season. The one update from mine is that I did slag him off on the last episode. Sifiwi Peters, the striker, he has actually joined me officially on loan now. I've managed to get him in on loan. So, so far, he has scored 2 goals in 5 games. So hopefully he kicks on. And still in the African Confederation Cup, which is like the Europa League. Still in, I think we're out of the league race, to be honest. We've dropped to points in 2 games, and now I'm 13 points off top. So I can't see that happening. But still in the Confederation Cup, still in the FA Cup. So we could actually win a quadruple without actually winning the league. But that'll be a big update on the next episode anyway.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, cut a long story short with mine. I was doing really well in China, and then I fucked up the squad registration rules. Then they all kind of got upset with me, and I demanded that they gave me a coaching badge, and then I resigned. And now I'm looking for a job. I just fucked it up. Like, I brought all these players in, I brought these foreign players in, and then we nearly got promoted, and like it was so close, but yeah, I fucked it up. Anyway. I don't want to talk about it. It's upset me, and it's probably killed the save for me because I've taken 20 steps backwards. So we will see what happens with that. So we're going to jump back over to Argentina and take a look at a 17-year-old winger who is destined for Europe at the end of the month when he takes a path well trodden to Benfica. His breakout season at Vélez saw Gianluca Prestiani play 39 times, scoring 3 times and assisting once. But maybe more interestingly, he had his head turned for Europe and ended up getting into a bit of bother with Vélez Ultras when the team was struggling in a relegation fight. His move to Benfica won't stop him from being an available prospect after the winter update. So let's look how he fares in Football Manager. Lovely player, Joe. This is a chap you spoke about earlier, saying that you had, right?
Knobhead.
Yeah.
Absolute knobhead. I mean, that screenshot I put there is obviously that's from my save. So he's obviously 22 there. It's 2028 when you look at him. So you can already see how he's developed. I signed him from Vélez. Obviously, this in the current kind of Football Manager update, he will still be at Vélez, but it won't be till obviously the winter update that he'll move across to Benfica. He was written about last year on our Wonderkid watch on the website. So he was known already. But yeah, as I say, I think his head had been turned already in the league, and when Vélez was struggling, I think the ultras kind of had a little word with him, and that sharpened him up a little bit because I think he'd just kind of given up when the team actually needed him. And he's a massive Vélez fan. I've read a little bit about him. As a kid, that was his team. Like you tend to find in Argentina, like they're very, very loyal, and it's very kind of partisan, the supporter base out there. But yeah, I signed him from Vélez. I think it was about 14 million, something like that. And again, another one. You can see how many times he played for me on that screenshot, 35 times. He hadn't played that much, and then he started demanding a contract. And I mean, to be fair, like he was really good in a match engine, but demanding a new contract, wanted like 70, 80 grand a week, which I wasn't going to do. And I think I went in, and I do this quite a lot, is I'll go quite heavy on bonuses. So he wouldn't have been that far out. I think I was offering him like 45 grand a week, but like big goal and assist bonuses. If he was in the team of the year, he'd get a big bonus, like all performance-based bonuses to get him there. And for me, I was like, he was probably going to end up being my highest paid player. And because Gonzalez was gone, I wanted to keep him as well. And then went for a round of contracts, kept getting rejected, went to the agent and said, can we resolve this? He was like, no, don't even want to talk to you. And then literally, as I clicked out of that interview, it went, Feyenoord have hit his release clause of 25 million or whatever it was, and he was gone the next day. So literally...
Have Feyenoord had a load of money or something then, Joe? Because he's on 90 grand a week on your screenshot there. No disrespect, I would have said he's too good for that league, surely.
Yeah, I mean, they sign... Yeah, he definitely is. But I mean, obviously with like Dutch teams, and their players go for big money. So they've actually got a Mexican striker that I went to sign as well, who I'd never heard of. Can't tell you now what his name is. But he, in game, like his attributes were a striker. I was like, fuck me, have I never heard of this guy? And I thought, is he one of them that's reached his current ability quickly? Because that's the thing this year. So has he got really good really early? And he was only like 15 million, something like that. It wasn't even a lot of money. His goals per game, he was like scored more goals than he played games. And I was like, I don't really need a striker at the moment, but should I buy him? Because now I found him, I know that he's going to go. And then literally Feyenoord went in, bought him. So they've got some really good players. But yeah, I couldn't believe it. You can see the value that he's got there, 51 to 59 million crossed out. And he went for his release clause, which was 25 million. So I was gutted. I was like, if they'd have just said no, and then I could have worked on selling him, it was just one of them that I was like, if he'd have re-signed, I probably would have sold him just to get rid of him because he's but it was like, I come out of that meeting with the agent, and it literally then went, Feyenoord have hit his release clause, so he's going. And I was like, you absolute cock, because he was my right winger, and at the moment I've not replaced him. And I've gone into season 6. Kind of, I've pulled someone up from the 23s, a young winger that I'd nicked from Benfica, who's all right, but he's not Prestiani. So yeah, it's a little bit sour grapes with me at the moment because he was a knobhead to me. But if you look at his attributes, 22 years old, dribbling, crossing, agility, vision, he's got everything there, hasn't he?
Yeah, right-footed, cuts in from both wings. He's got a lot. The one thing he hasn't got, height. He's very vertically challenged, Joe, 5'6".
You're such a heightist.
I'm tallest, actually.
And as
normally are, mate. Yeah.
No good for Dupe's corner exploits.
Whoa. Okay, well, that brings episode number 3. No, yeah. It's just a shame, isn't it? He didn't have a wonderful time with you, Joe, but he does look like a very good player,
mate. When he played for me, brilliant.
Yeah,
It's just
when he wanted to.
Yeah.
And like you said,
You can see why the Ultras wanted to fill him in.
Good looking lad. There is a Wonder Kid watch on the 5-star potential written from last season. So that will be linked in the description. I'm sure, David. Right?
You're expecting a lot from Dave here, isn't there?
There'll be a lot of links, a lot of screens.
We'll give him a shout out because it was Roxend FM that wrote it as well. So it's nice to give a shout out to some people that have kind of jumped on and helped Mad with a few blogs.
Yeah, absolutely. He's busy on this Sunday evening. Right, quiz, Dave.
No, sorry.
That brings episode.
We're over an hour, son.
Sorry?
It's been over an hour.
We've done an hour, mate. We're done.
Awesome. Done our time. That brings episode 334 to a close. You can find the links for each of us in the podcast description or by visiting 5starpotential.com, where you can find all of our latest Football Manager content. 5-Star Potential is available on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and most of our popular podcast apps and platforms, with a new podcast released every single week. Thank you all for listening. There'll be more from us next week. Say goodbye, gentlemen.
Goodbye,
gentlemen.
I hate the Eagles. Good night.